Welcome to Victoria School, and I'm very happy to see all of you this morning, P6 students and parents. So just a quick show of hands, how many of us are here because you're interested to apply to Victoria School through the DSA program? Hands up. Well done, thank you. You're at the right place. So this morning, I will be sharing with you the DSA process, the timeline of events, some considerations for parents and students to take note of before you click on the button to submit your 3 choices. And last but not least, the much coveted Q&A, which will happen after my segment is over. So without further ado, I'm sure because you've had an interest in DSA, you will have known that this particular program that is introduced by MOE back in 2004 is to recognize students of diverse talents so that we can enter them into a secondary school before PSLE. Now this has been a very successful program. More and more students are applying for the DSA program, and more students have been admitted into secondary schools through the DSA. On the school front, we would also like to actually add on to the mix of students to create a very diverse and vibrant set of our student profile through the DSA students, adding on to the students who enter through their own academic merit. So here's a quick timeline of the process. If you have not applied yet, it's okay, because whilst the exercise had begun on the 7th of May, it only ends on the 3rd of June. So there's still plenty of time available for you to think about things and make your decisions. Now once the application closes on the 3rd of June, MOE will allow schools to download all the data on the 30th of June, and that's when we begin our shortlisting process. After the shortlisting is done, by the 25th of July, you should hear from us if you're shortlisted to attend our auditions, trials and interviews. And this will take 3 weeks between the 21st of July to the 15th of August. Now it all depends on the number of applications that we have, as well as the quality of the applicants that we have. If we have a lot, we may take a longer time to shortlist and a longer time to select. Panel interviews are for students that we would like to meet a second time round, so we may invite some to come back between the 20th to the 22nd of August for our panel interview. By the 25th of August, we will start sending out emails to successful candidates who have been given either a confirm or waitlist offer, as well as to inform students who have been rejected as well. So by the 4th of September, everybody should receive a confirmation from us. We will also like to further engage students whom we have given a confirm offer as well as a waitlist offer through a DSA T session on the 19th of September. So if you have not visited the MOE DSA portal, and if you search through Google MOE DSA application, you'll find yourself on this landing page. So this is where you can apply online. Some things to take note of, especially for the non-mainstream school students. Right, you will need to apply online for a registration number first before you can gain access to the DSA portal. Applicants can apply up to 3 choices, and you can actually apply up to a maximum of 2 choices for the same school in different talent areas. Now, students who wish to apply to SOTA and the sports school, just take note that they are not involved in a DSA secondary exercise. You need to apply to them separately. Right, over the years, MOE has also made the whole process much less onerous for parents and students. So there's no need for you to download copious amounts of CCA achievements and then put them into a folder and then send it through an email to different schools individually. So instead, through the portal, they have now consolidated this application process. In fact, you don't even need to submit any academic records or any school-based CCA achievement records. All these will be called from the MOE central system, and they will then link it to your application before the schools download the data. However, what you can include is up to 10 non-school-based achievements, which you deem relevant to the talent area that you'll be applying for. I would like to reassure everyone that we will be using a holistic approach when it comes to shortlisting and selecting applicants. So what do we look out for? So firstly, as mentioned by Principal Mr. Lau, we need to look at the student's profile in terms of his academic ability. So that's one. This is to ensure that everybody thrives in our environment. Now, it doesn't mean that we are looking at the cutoff point of AL9 for the SEC track or AL7 for the IP track when it comes to shortlisting our candidates. Because first and foremost, when the data comes to us, we do not receive it in AL format. We will only see the marks in percentages. What we'll do is we'll be looking at these percentages and project it forward to see what possible AL your child may be getting at PSLE and whether he will be able to cope with the academic rigor in VS. So that's important because they can thrive perhaps on the talent area front, but if they flounder academically, it will be a big struggle for them for the rest of the 4 years or the rest of the 6 years they find themselves if they're in the IB program moving forward to VJC. Alright, so academic records, CCA records, as well as their performances during the trials, auditions and interviews. This will give us an inkling about their talent, ability, as well as potential. So take note, we don't just look out for outright ability and performance during the audition and trials. We also look at what kind of potential they have moving forward into the next 4 years and 6 years. We will also assess them to see whether through their dispositions that they exhibit during the interview, whether they are more suitable for the SEC track or the IP track. So at this juncture, I'd like to assure everybody that no one track is better than the other. The SEC track and the IB track are in existence because we strongly believe that there are different learning needs for different students. So therefore, the beauty of VS is this: we are a dual track school, and if students find themselves unable to maximize their potential in the track that they're currently in, there is a possibility of them laterally transferring to the other track without having to go through the process of a school transfer. All this can be arranged internally. And having said that, if you're a DSA student, the commitment to the school is for 4 years or for 6 years if you're in the IP track. It is very difficult to get a transfer to another school actually. Okay, so that's the beauty of VS being a dual track school. As mentioned, the ability to meet the demands of our curriculum is one of the key considerations. And finally, students who actually can make contributions within the school and beyond the school. As DSA students, we expect our DSA students to role model the right values, attitude, skills and knowledge so that they can help others level up as well. We look towards them being role models within their talent areas. So as mentioned, there's a 4-year commitment to VS if you enter via the SEC track. There's a 6-year commitment to Victoria School and Victoria Junior College if you enter via the IP track. Expectations of students admitted via DSA will also mean that we will help to track their progress over the course of the years. And if they are floundering in their academic performances, what we'll do is, especially if it's a talent area that is CCA based, we will then calibrate their training hours to help them level up again before they resume training of the regular hours. How do we do the trials and selections? It will all be in person unless they are suffering from COVID, which is on the comeback recently. Then we may on a case-by-case basis arrange for a video or virtual trial or audition. Let me now very quickly move into the DSA domains. Before I do so, just to highlight that the AL scores that the students came in by via their own academic merit was AL9 for the SEC program, as well as AL7 for the IB program, for the Set 1 cohort this year. So, in essence, we cannot be too far off from this cutoff. Otherwise, they'll find their learning compromised, and it's going to be very difficult for them to match up and to follow the curriculum. We do, of course, do differentiated instruction, and we try to cater to our lower ability students as far as possible. But after a while, the child themselves have to then level up on their own and be very disciplined about things. So if they start off from a very low starting point, it is even more difficult, close to impossible for them to actually be able to cope with the academic demands. These are the domains, and they are in the 4 areas of STEM: leadership, aesthetics, and sports. For STEM, there are two areas. So these are two different areas for STEM. Math is one and science is another. So we are looking for students with a passion and with ability in math and science, demonstrated through their academic scores as well as their participation in competitions. For leadership, specifically, we are looking for students who have an inkling to serve the community. And if they've got some records of them performing and also serving the community, we really would like them to consider applying through the community and youth leadership talent area. For the aesthetics areas, it will be in these four main areas: the area of art and the three performing arts of Chinese orchestra, choir, and concert band. For sports, you will be in these sports here. You see 4 up there, but it's actually, you see 9 up there, but it's actually 10. I'll explain in a short while. So firstly, we've got badminton, floorball, football, hockey, table tennis, tennis, track and field, volleyball, and wushu. So the 10th one is actually cross-country, but it is subsumed under the sport of track and field. So if your child is a long-distance runner or has passion for long-distance running, right, he may apply through track and field, but when he enters the school, he will be assigned to the CCA of cross-country. They are one and the same anyway, because the cross-country runners are our long-distance runners in track and field. We also would like to encourage students with a gymnastics background, and more recently, those with sport climbing backgrounds, to consider applying for track and field because we have found them very suitable for the pole vault event. For students admitted to a school through the DSA exercise, please note you're not allowed to participate in the Sec 1 posting exercise because you will have already secured a place in a secondary school. You're also not allowed to transfer to another school, as I've mentioned, after the release of the PSLE results or during the course of the study. As mentioned by Mr. Lau, once again, I would just like to highlight a few points. When it comes to choosing a secondary school, please consider the following. VS is an all-boys school, so you may think that, well and good. You want your boys to come here because there will be less distractions from the opposite gender. However, being in a boys' school, it also means that the environment is a little bit more boisterous. Do we want to confine them to this all-boys environment, or we want to expose them to a co-ed environment whereby they can learn to survive with the opposite gender? Very useful for the future, in fact. Do we want them to be immersed in an English-speaking culture, or one offered by the SAP schools, being a bicultural one? Do we want them to be in the SEC track or the IP track? As I've mentioned, there's a little bit more academic rigor as well as assessment rigor when we are preparing them for the O-level exams in the SEC track. For the IP, there's room for us to go deeper into a topic of study. There's also a lot more collaborative learning as well as project work when it comes to the IP program. So you've got to think about all this before making our decision. And last but not least, a government school or a mission school. Right, so our children needs guidance. There are certain things that even with guidance they cannot do. For example, at this juncture, you can't expect to put them into a car, start to, teach them how to drive and then they can start driving. You can't do that because firstly, they're not skillful enough. Secondly, they don't have the license. There are also things that they can do without help. For example, getting up in the morning, brushing their teeth, getting ready for school, so on and so forth. For the application of the DSA, I think it is something that they can do proximally the best way if you give them the guidance and the advice and the support. So parents, use your experience, use your life experience and all that you know and advise your child accordingly so that both of you can come to an informed decision about which school to apply to for DSA. Alright, further considerations will be, will I be able to cope with the academic standards in the school, as I've constantly mentioned just now? Does the school offer the program or the CCA that I'm interested in? So there are talent areas which are not tied to a CCA. For example, community, youth and leadership. For example, art. So these are not CCA, these are not talent areas that are tied to a CCA. So you must also consider whether we have a CCA that appeals to you if you're going to apply to DSA, community and youth leadership, for example. Do I like the school environment and culture? So later on, I would like to invite you to visit our CCA booths and ask the right questions. Talk to the boys because they'll be the ones who can give you the most authentic answers about their experience in VS. And trust me, they have not been trained in any way to give you the standard answers, okay? So you can ask them and then they'll give you the answers that are truly from them. Some more considerations. In secondary school, you will be faced with this issue of having a longer school day. So for lower sec students, sometimes their lessons can end at 1:30, sometimes even at 3 p.m. So they will need to make that adjustment. Therefore, distance from school is important. CCAs also take place about 2 to 3 times a week. And last but not least, take note that reduced traveling time will provide more time for rest, study, revision, and recreation. So if you are staying at the far reaches of Singapore, very far from here, my personal advice to you is try to look for a school nearer to your home. Timeline and process once again, which I'll skip. So just to share with you, the shortlisting panel will consist of CCA teachers and relevant HODs and SHs for all areas. And when it comes to the selection stage, when we conduct our auditions and trials, the performing arts and the sports talent areas will involve CCA teachers, coaches, and instructors. And the interview panel, for these talent areas, there are no auditions and trials, but they go straight to an interview. Okay, will involve the HOD math for math, the HOD science, and SH for physics, for science, HOD A&D, and LT art for art, and also the SH leadership and HOD student management for community, youth, and leadership. And then, together with the auditions and the trials for the sports and the performing arts, there will be an interview carried out on the very same day. So students will also be interviewed after their trials and auditions are over in sports and performing arts. And the performing arts teachers and the sports CCA teachers, together with the interview panel members, at least one of them will be conducting the interview. So why am I going through this with you? It's because I need to assure you that our shortlisting and selection criteria as well as process is fully transparent. All right? This came about the conflict of interest and the strengthening of the management of the conflict of interest because of some unsavory incidences which have happened over the years with coaches and instructors over-promising parents about the ability, the accessibility to schools, okay, through some incentives, all right, being paid to the coaches by the parents. So there are new guidelines in place. Coaches now have to declare their conflict of interest for students that they have coached before or instructed before on a personal capacity, if these students apply to the school that they are coaching. Secondly, if they have declared the conflict of interest, then they will recuse themselves from the selection stage, and everything will be handled by the school itself. So everything is transparent and clear. There will not be any accusations of biasness, so on and so forth from now on. Okay, so I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. If you would like to stay back for the Q&A, please do so. So once again, thank you for your presence this morning, and have a good time and have a good weekend this afternoon. Thank you. All right, parents and students who would like to